schoolhouse is an absurd way to rear our young. It's contrary to what we know about being human. We know that doing and talking are what most successful people are very good at. That's where they show their stuff. Suppose we went back to the oldest idea of education, where we let kids learn where the adults are doing interesting work. So let's let students find skills and explore things that will be helpful for their future. Dennis Littky took bold steps and invented something that was totally new but was rooted in something old. It's nonsense to say that this is our last chance, because as long as there are kids, there are always more chances. It's interesting that our schools are designed to create clergymen or put people in academia. Dennis Littky created 6 schools in Providence, Rhode Island. The schools, collectively called the Met, are small, intimate, and they don't have year-long classes. Many of the students come from schools where they had poor attendance records. In many schools in Providence, 40 to 50% of the 9th graders do not complete 12th grade. They don't graduate. At the Met, virtually everyone goes to college. Can an approach that works in Providence flourish in other cities without the watchful eye of Dennis Littky? And there are experiments in Denver, Sacramento, California, Detroit, Chicago, and why not in your area as well? The purpose of this workshop is to stimulate conversation. Let's listen to Littky, and let's describe some advantages of a charter school. What can teachers do? Well, the first thing is to get to know the student, and the way that Littky asks his teachers to do it is to eat dinner in the student's home. Throughout this process, we're going to need to inspire each other. And so, as a teacher, as a parent, are there lyrics, are there quotes that push you? This is one of my favorites. Courage comes from the soul within. The man must furnish the will to win. So figure it out for yourself, my lad. We were born with all the great have had. With your equipment they all began. Get hold of yourself and say, I can. Someone who recites poetry or speaks lyrics that they believe in, they sound almost possessed, like a mad person. But that's that spirit of enthusiasm that we all need to get something to happen. We need that positive energy because we tend to move towards the things we think about, so let's think about good things. Now, what can a teacher do besides get to know the student better? Put into action some of the recommendations for building relationships with students. There is no single set of knowledge. Yes, people need to be able to read, write, and speak clearly, but there's no reason why every child must master math and science. As a society, we embrace individualism, and yet we want our schools to be standardized. This was Robert Reich, the former Secretary of Labor. Littky's formula is simple. He wants to make sure that it's not school anymore. The kid says, I love this doctor's office. I'm going to read about this. Or I love this architect's office. I'm going to design something cool. Until you get the passion, it's too much like school. Once they find their passion, they change. The 5 pillars of a Littky school are exhibitions, not tests, finding a mentor for each student, and following their interests in that way, multi-year relationships, having the same teacher for 3 or 4 years, evaluating with narrative, not letter grade, and keeping in touch with the students. They can come back after they graduate and still be connected with the school, with their teachers. What percentage of our success comes from school? Academics contributes what percentage of our success? Is it 50%, 40%, or 25%? It depends on whether you're right brain or left brain how you answer this question, because about 6% of our success in life is related to how well we do on tests. The rest of our success, getting past closed doors, is based on social intelligence. Brains that are dominated by the left side tend to select answers, whereas right-dominated brains often look outside the box and redefine the problem. We need more right brain thinking. It's possible to talk about a lot of quotes, but the bottom line here comes back to the person who's watching this video or listening to this workshop. This workshop is a success when you decide to start creating your own workshop to spread the gospel of small schools. It's the power of one. Now, what are some of the features of the secret? First, you've got to write your goal down. You've got to focus on the goal and read it every day. You have to do something every day to support that goal. You must not dwell on the negative, because you attract the negative. It's the law of attraction, which says you must pull. And let's focus on this positive point. The power of one parent to move tax dollars is stronger than the governor or members of a legislature. In Florida, $5,000 follows a child who is moved from a large school into a charter school. The governor cannot influence that decision. It's the parent. For people who are hoping that Bill Gates will walk through the door and give you $500,000 to do what is wonderful, to support your work, remember that he's spending his money breaking up, subdividing large schools. If you operate a small school, you're already doing what Bill Gates wants to encourage. There's $60 million out there. Bill and Melinda Gates want to start a nationwide discussion of education. It's the size of the school. We tend to move towards the things that we dwell upon. So let's dwell well. Let's focus on good things. Let's focus on this ability for us to be the power of one. Who will pass on this message? We need you. You are the one. You might say, but I'm only one person. But you are one person. Adopt a classroom and become a mentor to teachers. Find students, support the teachers, and help them see that it's the ways of learning that are important. There are 7 ways of learning. Some people may wonder, why are you showing all of these words? Why are we reading what we could read? Well, you're linguistic. You don't need to have something read to you. But if you are a visual person or an audio person, it's very nice to have someone read something to you. This is more than just small schools. That's where it starts. How can we help kids pursue their passion? Once they find their passion, it's not school anymore. What makes it an effective school? The cost per graduate is lower in small schools than the cost per graduate in big schools. You have spent 15 minutes on this subject. What can you do to pass on the gospel of effective schools?